super excited. I've got Mike Claudio here. He's going to kind of do a quick talk for us about setting yourself up and setting yourself and the business up for success in 2024. Also really excited to have Mike and his team joining us at JobTread Connect, as sponsors. Also going to be doing keynote speech there. He's also part of Profit Panda, recently taken over as CEO. Is that right, Mike?
That's correct.
Awesome, man. Congrats. A huge win for everyone there. So before we dive in, though, wanted to kind of touch on a couple things. Again, as usual, if you're not part of JobTread Pros on our Facebook group, definitely a great place to get connected with other JobTread users. We got lots of best practices, tips, tricks being shared. If you got questions, if you got feature requests, ideas, whatever it may be, this is an awesome community. I think we're just over 1,900 members of that group now. Again, I talked to someone yesterday who was like, yeah, I hadn't been on Facebook in 10 years, but when I realized you guys had that group, I thought, okay, maybe from a professional standpoint, I ought to get back on there and reactivate your account. Again, that's exactly where I'm at. It's a great tool. There's so much learning and knowledge that you can get from JobTread Pros, as well as other communities and groups on Facebook. So we definitely recommend it. It's somewhere where you can kind of hear about things that are coming up that were being worked on. So I want to encourage everyone to hop in there if you're not already there. I've also got the Builder Stories podcast. So, if you hadn't listened to that, we've got some amazing episodes that have come out every Wednesday morning. We put out a new episode. So, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or you can listen directly on our website at builderstories.com. Definitely a great way to learn from other people, who are running similar businesses, but, being able to tap into their knowledge and kind of their experience, from building their business from the ground up. It's a great way to just kind of hopefully, learn from their lessons, not have to learn everything the hard way. Our whole goal is to really help you better understand, what goes into building a successful business. And so, these guests really share the inside, details of the struggles, the challenges, how they organize their business. So definitely recommend it. Great learning, great knowledge. And if you have a story that you'd like to share, others, please do come to builderstories.com. There's you can just apply to be on the show right there. I would love to have you on. So yeah, check that out. And lastly here, JobTread Connect. I'm getting so excited. We are just over, 1 month away, January 17th to the 19th in Dallas, Texas. We can't wait to have, everyone flying in, coming in for 3 days, spending it with our team, with our partners. There's just jam-packed ed sessions, learning that's going to take place. We've got social events. We're going to have an office tour, a welcome party at our office that first night. Just all sorts of great opportunities to network, with my team, with our partners, and with others, similar business owners. I know the roundtables were a huge hit list last year, so we can't wait. You definitely want to get your tickets in. This is, essentially this week was the last week to get them at the $4.99 rate. So if you hadn't gotten it, if you're on the fence, again, I highly encourage you. This is well worth your time. Maybe bring some of those other key people at your business. We're super excited for this event. And yeah, it's going to be a great time. I think someone recently or yesterday posted a little video about it on JobTread Pros, kind of talking about his experience last year and how it really changed the trajectory of his company, and how he was building it. This year he's coming back. He's bringing some of his other people at the company. And so, yeah, so really excited. This is going to be a great opportunity to come out here and just take a little bit of time to invest in yourself and your business and your learning. You're going to walk away, much better understanding of JobTread, as well as hopefully kind of meeting some other people who, potential partners that can help you continue building your business as well. I can't wait to see everyone there. Definitely grab your tickets, just JobTreadConnect.com or directly in the JobTread marketplace. You can get your tickets. Want to get those in though as soon as you can. And yeah, can't wait to see everyone there. So now, without further ado, I want to turn it over to Mike Claudio. Super excited, Mike. We've known each other for a good little while now. A little fun story that Mike actually invited me on his podcast, several months ago or whatever. And funny thing, turned out he was actually in a hotel room in Dallas, and somehow at the end we got to talking about well, where are you at? And he's like, well, I'm actually in Dallas right now for an event. I was like, no kidding. Well, we're like right down the road from you. Why don't you come over? And so he ends up coming over to the office, and we spent like the whole afternoon, evening there, hanging out, getting to know each other. I think that we've really kind of on a lot of different levels connected and had a great understanding of each other and really, just shared a similar passion for helping, individuals, helping business owners and helping businesses as a whole, really take it to the next level. And so, yeah, super excited to have you on here today, Mike. And yeah, going to turn it over to you.
Appreciate it, man. That was a really interesting, I'm in a hotel room. I don't love doing podcasts in a hotel room. And I'm like, where are you at? I'm like, you were literally 10 minutes away from me. And that was just a really just ironic experience. But I can't say it's ever happened before that did a podcast interview virtually and then saw the person 10 minutes later. That very interesting. But WinRate Consulting. We do group and one-on-one business coaching. I have been a full-time business coach for contractors since the beginning of 2019. And I built an organization. I'm not just a coach. We have 9 coaches on staff, 17 total employees. We service about 100 clients throughout the US and a couple in Canada. But what we do is aggressive accountability. We help people win at life and business. It's a good blend of business and life coaching. Some people ask us on my business is in good shape, but my fitness or my relationships are struggling. Can you help me there? We can. Sometimes it's hey, I gotta get my business to grow. I'm at that $1 million mark. How do I get to 3? We help with that. But it's all based around guiding you to that thing. And so what we're going to talk about today is control. There we go. So setting yourself up for business for success in 2024. I see so many businesses struggle with this in understanding who they are, what they want, where they're trying to go, how to measure that success, how to get their team on board, how to keep it going. There's a lot of times you develop initiatives and targets and strategies now, right, at the beginning of the year in Q1, and then it falls off and, whatever happened to that thing and it fell off a long time ago. And that happens to a lot of businesses. And, obviously I'm not going to try to sell you coaching, but that's where the accountability comes in. But we see this happen a lot where people just don't even know where to start. So I can speak about this topic for literally 10 hours, but I want to kind of narrow it down to a 20 or 30 minute. What can you do with this right now? So understanding what you're working with is the first step. I utilize a similar analogy when it comes to helping people understand what I mean by this is everybody's on a treasure map. Everybody's on a treasure map, and not everybody knows where the treasure is, and most people don't know where they are. And so it's impossible to plot a course that makes sense to go from where you are to where you want to be to get the treasure, right? And so understanding those things can be incredibly powerful. And I'm not going to get deep into the numbers today, but I want to give you a tool that you can really utilize to take this thing to the next level. So we utilize, and I've been preaching on this for a long time, a SWOT analysis as an incredible tool to hold yourself and your team accountable throughout the whole year. So what a SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we're going to get a little bit deeper into that in a second, but also understanding financial clarity and what's important to you. And financial clarity, I'm going to say it in a different way than normal. It's not about the numbers as much as it's capitalizing on the manpower you have access to. If you only have 10 project managers or 5 employees or 6 field technicians or 5 subs, you're limited on how much you can actually do with that. There's only so many man hours. Contractors are in a heavy time management scenario. And it makes it really difficult. People I want to do 10 million, but you don't even know how many employees you need to get there because you don't know how long it takes you to do certain things. And so from a financial clarity perspective, that's what I want to talk about as part of today's topic. But these are the 3 things I'm going to talk today: how to develop your SWOT, financial clarity, and what's important to you. So what is a SWOT? So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats is a way to determine what are you good at, what are you bad at, what are the opportunities in your marketplace that you should be taking advantage of, and what are the threats you should be protecting yourselves against. And so as you develop this out, it's incredibly important to do 2 things. One, you want to get your leadership team involved with this. We do this every quarter. Every quarter, my leadership team submits from their perspective, what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are internal things happening inside our control. Opportunities and threats are external things that are outside the walls of your business or your team. And we do this every quarter. And the reason we do this every quarter is so that we can continue to evolve from where we were. So figuring out what you're trying to accomplish, figuring out where you're good, where you're bad, figuring out the opportunities and threats in your marketplace can be the tool that allows you to progress throughout the year. It allows you to develop initiatives and strategies specifically curated to your business. So when you figure out your strengths, I'm gonna go one by one here. When you figure out your strengths, one of the top things to do on this is don't be afraid to be a little cocky, have a little ego. Like, what are we actually good at? Because I see a lot of people spend so much time focused on their weaknesses. What do we need to improve? That they forget to capitalize on their strengths. What are we actually good at? And when you do that, you tend to stop doing the things that brought you success. And so don't be afraid to bring a little ego, be a little confident, be a little bit like sure of what are we good at. The weakness list tends to be the longer list. We all are very triggered and hurt and confused and bothered by what we're not good at. Again, weaknesses are internal things our team is weak at. And so from that perspective, it is what weaknesses do we want to improve this quarter? And sometimes improving them compared to solving them are not the same thing. When you create initiatives and building out the process we're going to talk about here in a second, it's important to know that it's 4 quarters to the year, and taking steps throughout the year towards a desired outcome is very important. But with the weaknesses, know that you're not always going to be able to solve them, but you can improve them 1% better every day, 1% better every quarter. And the compounding effect of everything getting better a little bit at a time can create big, impactful outcomes. So opportunities and threats are external things. Opportunities would be, what should we be doing as a company? Where should we be networking? Where should we be prospecting? What type of vendor relationships do we have or need to have? What type of deals are out there that we can have? What type of technology, obviously with JobTread, what type of technology out there should we take advantage of? Those are things that are examples of opportunities. And then threats would be things that are threats to the business, which could be, next year is a election year. That could be a threat. Just general consumer affordability, supply availability or volatility. I would say consumer cash, like accounts receivable, can be a threat because like you're waiting on someone else to pay you. Like if you have historically had a accounts receivable issue, or most cash flow issues start with accounts receivable issues. So that could be a threat where like our clients are not paying on time, or our clients are not paying at all, or our clients are, asking for refunds or not making the final payment. What can we do to improve that is an example of a threat. But the SWOT analysis as a whole, there's 2 ways that we use this very intentionally. We use it quarterly as a company. So we do it at the end of the quarter. So like both my company's SWOT analysis are due, today's the 12th, on the 19th. And I will take that and I will create initiatives, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, to figure out where we're going. But you have to figure out where you are first, right? Where are we right now? What are we good at? What are we bad at? That's where we are now. And it's important to know that. And some of that can be, metric driven, like sales numbers or financial numbers or profit margins or things like that. Other things could be just processes that are weak or employees that are weak. But so at the end of the quarter, everybody submits their SWOT analysis from their perspective. I, as the CEO, then take those, consolidate them together to figure out the whole picture from all perspective. On the 22nd, I will have a consolidated list. By the 29th of December, I will have our Q1 initiatives done. So we hit the ground running in January. I see a lot of people wait to do this into January. And if you wait till January, it's likely the 2nd or 3rd week of the quarter. And that's like 20 to 25% of the quarter gone. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you want that momentum going into the year. You want people to know on January 1st exactly where their attention should be, exactly what they should be focused on, exactly what you need to see from them, from those initiatives. Again, we're going to talk about that here in a second. But this helps you figure out, where are we now? What are we good at? What are we bad at? What are some opportunities in the marketplace we should take advantage of? What are some threats we should be protecting ourselves against? If you guys have questions, I got the chat box up. I meant to say this earlier. I got the chat box up. So if you have questions as I'm going over this, feel free to put it in there, and I will either answer them in the moment or I'll get them answered before the end of the call. So from financial clarity, and like I talked about earlier, I think so many people start with revenue numbers and big gross revenue numbers, and they don't focus on the profit as much. But what a lot of people miss is what is my team actually capable of executing? And it requires some tracking for this. It requires some information. It requires a CRM. It requires, proper reporting. But understanding, like, I'm going to use just an example. I have 5 project managers. And if I have 5 project managers, those 5 project managers in most given years, if you're trying to keep them employed, have about 2,000 working hours a year that they can produce for your company. So 5 of them is 10,000 project management hours. Well, if you know I'm just using round numbers right now, our average project, let's just say is 500 project management hours. Well, you can only do 20 projects that year. You physically can't do more. When you try to do more than that, that's when you start to break the machine. You start to overwork people. You start to push processes to the limit. You start to really negatively impact, employee just environment and workload. And when they're pushed beyond their capacity, they start to feel like they're underperforming, which can really impact the culture and just the feel around the office. And so this is where most people, I think, get it wrong. I like starting with what can we actually produce with the team we have? And then now what each additional piece can do. But if I know what my existing team can do, like right now, it's December 12th. You're not going to hire 5 or 6 people likely before January 1st. So you know about what your team's going to look like going into the year. So you can even look at it by quarter if you know you're making strategic hires throughout the year. But look at the 12 months of 2024 and say, how many hours of work do I actually have access to? Even looking at if you're a sub-based environment where you have a project manager, how many electricians do we have? How many plumbers do we have? How many projects can we have in what phase at the right time? If you have 1 or 2 good drywall paint companies, you can't have 4 projects in drywall paint in the same time period. And so if you know that, you can then reverse engineer what your actual available target for the year is. And I take it a step further. Well, when I look at my financials, I take what is my target based on the capacity of the team members I have. I subtract my cost of personnel. And that gives me what my available dollars are. Obviously, if you're a contractor, your material and stuff like that's part of that. But I'll subtract out project management. I'll subtract out the revenue. I'll subtract out the personnel costs. Now I know what I have left to spend on the business overhead and material. And so I can see okay, if I have this amount of people on the team, do I have enough money left over to pay the bills from a rent and a marketing and an advertising and stuff like that. And obviously the material for the projects. And doing it that way allows me to see, am I overemployed? Do I have too many people on the team? Is my overhead from an employee perspective too high? Where are the strategic hires that we need to make to hit the next level or that next thing? Because maybe it is an office person, because that office person is just, the amount of office hours necessary is exceeding what the team can actually do. You see this happen a lot in that balance of operations and sales, right? If your operations team's overwhelmed and you hire 3 more salespeople, you're going to break the operations team. Just as much as if the operations team is, waiting for work and you don't hire some salespeople, the operations team will be out of work. And I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. Everybody's business is a little bit different. So I don't want to get too far in that, but understanding how many working hours you have to maximize that amount of hours. This typically will show you where you might need to increase pricing. If we want to hit this profit margin and I want to make this much as the CEO, well, I'm not charging enough to pay for all these people, pay for all this, all these trucks, this office, all these things, and still be able to pay myself. That's how I know I need to raise prices. Most people struggle raising prices. But when you run the numbers and say, what will be left for me as the CEO? You're like, that shit ain't worth it. I don't want to work all year for that. I need to make adjustments. And sometimes that's in employee count. Sometimes that's in pricing. Sometimes it's in negotiating better prices with subs or suppliers. There's a lot of different ways to get there, but you kind of get the gist of that. This requires tracking. So it's impossible to do this without that. But then you can set some realistic monthly targets based on sales targets, based on production targets, based on how many projects we have at one time, how many projects we have in what phase. You can set yourself up for success where you're not overbooking a specific season of the year. You can give proper expectations to clients. Hey, we can only operate, I'm going to use around 6 projects at a time. 2 projects starting, 2 projects in the beginning, 2 projects in punch, and then we can just leapfrog that. Well, if you know that when a new project comes in, you can set proper expectations with them as opposed to, hey, we can start as soon as possible. That becomes this subjective, just really big waste of time for everybody. But figuring out what you want and what you want to make, right, is incredibly subjective to you as an individual. And so one of the things we like to help people with is what's important to you as the leader. in each of these categories. These are the categories that we tend to focus on. These are the categories we kind of talk about the most. It's part of our onboarding. And like, look, we don't push anything on anybody, but we believe like these are the categories necessary to like end the day feeling like a champion, end the day feeling like you're winning. Like everybody watches, right? There's 35 attendees right now. Everybody can look at something on this board and say, I'm underperforming there, and it keeps me up at night sometimes, or I'm underperforming there, and I feel guilt, I feel shame, I feel frustrated, I feel disappointed, I feel like I'm not living up to my expectations as a father or a wife or a husband or a mother or a CEO, or the financials in the business are failing, or as an athlete, I like to say, like the health, like, so somewhere in here you're likely underperforming. But I believe in the coaching that I've done over the last several years. Like I've coached hundreds of companies, hundreds of CEOs over the last 5 years. And it's always one of these things that keeps them up at night. It's always one of these things that bugs them the most. And it's always one of these things that when we start to fix that, a lot of the other things start to fix themselves as well. And so figuring out what success in each of these categories looks like, and I'm not saying don't dream big, okay? But like, I want to make $1 million a month personally. Great target. If you're currently making $15,000 a month personally, that may not be the next base camp that makes the most sense. And I'm not judging your vision. I'm not judging your dreams. I'm not judging what you're trying to accomplish. But these categories, if you want to take a picture of it, I would suggest figuring out personally, like wherever you are in your life, husband, wife, mother, father, whatever that personal situation is, boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't know where all you guys are in your relationships, but personally, what does success look like for you? Professional, financial, health and fitness, spiritual relationships. What does success look like to you? But here's where the trick comes in. And here's where I think we do a great job with coaching people is I want to develop success in each category that doesn't sacrifice another category, right? You might have incredible financial success and professional success, but your relationships are hurting. Or maybe you've been like heavily dieting. Like a lot of people that I know that are in our ecosystem have done 75 hard and like they go heavy on their diet. Well, when you go heavy on your diet, that brain fog becomes an issue, man. And like you might be underperforming as a CEO or a leader right now because you're dieting too hard. Or maybe you're spending too much time in the personal. Maybe you're drinking too much. Maybe you're doing drugs too much. Maybe you're spending time with the wrong people. But what we want to do is to figure out where we are, right? The SWOT analysis. And I use a SWOT analysis, not just with the business. I use it with my family. Like my Tiff and I, my wife and I use it in our relationship quarterly. It might sound crazy, but it keeps us on the same page. But we also use SWOT analysis as individuals. Where do I feel like, what's Mike's SWOT? So I'll ask my leadership team inside the company, where does Mike need to improve? What are some things that Mike needs? And so that sometimes that outside perspective will show me a gap in my performance that I don't see because I'm so focused on another avenue, another part of my life. I know when I go heavy on the business and my fitness, time with my kids tends to suffer. When I go heavy with time with my kids, my fitness tends to suffer because I make that sacrifice or I make that compromise sometimes. But I want to develop a level, a defined, a articulated, documented success in each of these categories that not one of them cause you to sacrifice another. Because the reality is we don't wake up in the middle of the night with that like heartache attack because of what we have done. It's simply what we haven't done. It's where we haven't shown up. It's where we've underperformed. It's where we wanted to do more. We said, today's the day, or I promise I'll do this, or that thing I didn't follow through on. That's what keeps us up at night. And so what happens is we try to shoot for ceilings. What is the biggest success I can dream in this category? I'm not saying that's wrong. But what we do is we dream for that category as if you have 100% of your effort in that category. The reality is you have a salary cap on how much energy you can disperse. You don't have 100% of your effort in any one of these at any given time. And so figuring out really and defining the floor. How bad am I willing to be in this category? What is the minimal performance I will accept in this category? How many date nights with my wife? How many times am I going to go to church? How much am I going to work out? How much am I going to drink? What's my diet going to look like? How much money do I need to make to like And again, I'm not suggesting minimize your dreams and visions. People hear this like, Mike, you don't want me to dream big? What a crappy coach you are. No, I want you to dream massively. And I want you to win in every one of these categories. So you have a life you don't want to go away from. Like people talk about retiring and, drinking to take the edge off and like taking vacations. Like I want to help you build a life that you don't want to take a vacation from, that you don't need to drink to get some separation from, that you don't need to give up on things to make change. I want you to build a life across all platforms, across all measurements of success, not just that online ego, gross revenue, look at how much we did, and then that be the only measurement of success while you don't talk about the other stuff, because you're stuck with you. You are stuck with you at the end of the night. When you lay your head down at night, what you did or didn't do that day and how you did or didn't show up is in your head. And you can lie to everybody around you, but you can't lie to yourself. And so determining what's important to you, each of these categories, will help you analyze the initiatives, help you analyze the SWOT, help you decide what you want to build, how hard do you want to work, and what you want is what you want. This is the biggest mistake. You're like, well, Mike, what do you think? It doesn't matter what I think. It's you have to build a vision for yourself, and then you have to work at your vision 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not, people ask like, Mike, how much do you work? I work at life 18 hours a day. And that includes all of these categories. And it's important to me to help more people find that. Like I started this company to help contractors who have never gotten out of the technician seat. They've been wearing tool belts, working with their hands, climbing the ladders for their entire career, and I don't want to say it in a rude way, but have like nothing to show for it. And maybe there's someone on this call right now that feels that way. Like I've been working, my hands hurt, my back hurt, my knees hurt. You could be 31 or 61. You might have the same opinion on how your body feels, but like I want you to build something more. And these are the categories that I think you need to focus on, but it comes down to protecting your minimum performance in each category, not maximizing the ceiling in any one at the sacrifice of others. That's what I want to help people accomplish. And so once you have that SWOT, where are we? And you have this vision of what you want, where do I want to go? The treasure map, right? Now we know what the treasure is. Treasure is this documented, right? Write it down. What is success personally, professionally, financially, health and fitness, spirit, and relationships? What does success look like in each of those categories without sacrificing success in another? That's very important. And I don't want to say it's like work-life balance. I call it work-life harmony. All of these things need to work together, different size blocks, different size cogs, working together to drive the machine of you, of Mike, of whoever's on the call right now, of Bobby Woodman. Bobby's one of my old clients, man. He's a great dude. Glad he's on this call. But figuring that out is incredibly important, because then it makes every decision you make on what I'm about to show you in the initiative development, it helps you make every decision towards that desired outcome. You have to want that outcome so badly that you will do anything to get it. You'll have to hire that person you're afraid to hire. You'll have to fire that client you're afraid to fire. You'll have to do that thing or push that habit out. You won't have a choice. Like you have to want this vision so badly that you'll do anything to get it. You'll spend any money to get it. You'll accomplish that at all costs. That's the only way, because once you start chasing the best version of you, once you start chasing the championship version of you, like we like to say, you're going to get hit with some challenges. What do? Do you pivot? Do you fight through? When to pivot, when not to pivot? I'm not going to go deep into that today. There's a whole spider web of that, but you got to want it so badly that nothing will stop you from getting it. And then what we do is help people identify what they want, the answers to these questions. We help them identify where they are with financial data, the SWOT analysis, things like that. And then we create initiatives. So initiatives are, so if you're familiar with EOS, they call it rocks, I call it initiatives. And so what we do is every quarter we take the SWOT analysis and we say, what strengths do we want to capitalize on? Then we create measurable initiatives based on that thing. We do the same thing for weaknesses. What weaknesses do we want to improve? We create measurable initiatives for that. What opportunities we want to take advantage of? What threats we want to protect ourselves against? Again, I'm going to say that again because some people like to take notes. What strengths do I want to capitalize on? What weaknesses do I want to improve? What opportunities do I want to take advantage of? And what threats do I want to protect myself against? Or ourselves against, if you're doing it with your team. And so from that, you take that list, you create measurable initiatives. Initiatives should be set by department first. Like, what is this? A sales initiative, marketing initiative, operation, production, finance? Very important to do that. Then every single initiative on your team needs to have a owner, one person who's responsible for documenting, keeping up with, and bringing updates on a weekly basis to the operations meeting or the initiative meeting. One person has to, that doesn't mean that one person has to own every piece of it. They can elicit help from the team, internally, externally, whatever, but they are responsible to keep that project moving. And we do a weekly meeting that we absolutely is a non-negotiable every week. It's about a 90-minute meeting every week where we touch on every initiative we have as a company, all the key leaderships on it. And we've made massive progress because of the compounding effect of here's where we are, that's where we want to be, that's our capacity. Like I can tell you right now, our target at WinRate for coaching next year is 20 Hall of Fame clients, 80 Champion Circle clients, and 50 Small Business Academy clients. That's our target for the year. That is the capacity at which we can operate right now. Obviously, if I add more coaches to the team, that might increase. But right now, I know what that is, and I reverse engineered it. So every decision we have in Q1 from an initiative perspective is built towards that desired outcome. You know, if I hit that desired outcome, we'll do 4 to 4.5 million in revenue next year, which I'm really happy with. You know, that's a good growth from this year. But that target where we're going becomes very important because that's what you measure the success of the initiatives to. Every one of those initiatives then is given the month of the quarter at which you want to focus on it. I know I'm giving you a lot of information very quickly. I'm trying to put a bow on this, but create the initiative, give it an ownership. Who owns that initiative? And then which month of the quarter do you want them to focus on? Because if I look at Q1, January, February, March, not every initiative we create is important from January 1st. Some might be important in February, some might be important in March. And when you break it out like that and you give people hey, this is what you need to focus on first, you actually get more done than giving them too big of a list from the beginning, because people get overwhelmed. They don't know what to focus on when it's too big or there's too much. And so giving each initiative an owner and a month in the quarter. So obviously if it's Q2, April, May, June, Q3, July, August, September, Q4, October, November, December. I'm looking at a map. I probably shouldn't need to look at a map, but I'm looking at the map because it's all of our events and initiatives and stuff kind of live on that. But ownership, initiative, ownership, and then month of the quarter that we want to work on it. And that allows you then to create this momentum to the year. That momentum to the year then creates this compounding effect, allows you to accomplish so much more. Yes, I could have sat here today and talked to you about setting very specific targets and sales targets and revenue targets and hiring targets and marketing targets, but like most people don't even know what they really want. And most people don't even know where they are. So sometimes creating targets without that information and a process to actually make it happen becomes just another thing you threw at the wall. It's just another thing you said was going to happen. Another thing you told your team, this is the year that you don't follow through on. That doesn't work without this. So once those things are in place, we do a weekly meeting. We do Tuesday mornings from 10 to 11:30. And we go initiative by initiative. Where are we? What needs to happen? What's the next step? Like that's basically what we do. Where are we on this initiative? What needs to happen? What is the next step specifically? And then in it, so we use Asana for this, ASANA. It's a project task management tool that we've been using for years. And so you create, an initiative card and it has subtasks. So every week we assign the next task to the person that needs to do that. An example would be if I own an initiative, but I need someone on my team to do something to get me information, I will assign that in that week's meeting. I'll say, okay, Lindsay, I need this from you. I'll assign it to Lindsay, put the date on it. She gets it back to me, and then I take the next step. That allows everybody to know what's needed from them. Everybody to know what needs to happen. Everybody knows the timeline of deliveries. But then what happens if things don't go to plan? We don't miss initiatives on the quarter because we talk about them every week. And things get missed, things get forgotten, things fall through the cracks, but never for more than a week or two at a time. And so if a step is missed, if like 2 weeks in a row, someone said they were going to get something done and they don't, I'm going to have a one-on-one private conversation with that person about what's stopping them from getting that done. Are you having a time management issue? Are you having a support issue from your team? Have you reached out 3 times but haven't heard back? Can I help you? Right? As the CEO, right? When I reach out to people, I tend to get fast responses. If my assistant, Mia, reaches out to people, they tend to be a little bit slower getting back to her. And that's just the reality of it. It's not fair. It's not ideal, but it's the truth. And so I'll ask, what do you need from me to help get this accomplished? Sometimes that's me taking action. Sometimes it's me coaching them. Sometimes whatever it might be. But this process allows us to make improvements on 25 to 35 initiatives a quarter. So 25 to 35 initiatives a quarter. That's 100 to 150-ish initiatives we get done every year. You do that over 3 or 4 years, which we have, you will see massive growth. You will see an incredible team. You will see awesome processes. You will see improvement across your client base. You'll see improvements in your numbers. It's impossible not to. Like, unless you just have an absolute inept team that knows nothing, which you might. I'm not judging your team, but you might. Unless that's the truth, you're going to have very intelligent, good conversations over time so that you can make improvements. And then 1% this quarter, 1% that quarter, 2% the next quarter, and you start to compound that effect over time. These initiatives allow you to track that, hold people accountable, and make sure that that vision actually gets done. It starts with, where are we? SWOT. It goes to, what are we building? Like, what do I want? Can I go backwards here? There we go. So, like, what do I want? And as the owner, you got to want it. And like, it's very important. Like, I know, and I'll be open and honest with you, like, my ideal life right now will cost me about $50,000 a month. So I know that I want to bring home $50,000 a month. And so I built a machine, right? My business is a machine that has an output. I don't want to work 50 hours a week. I want to make 50 grand a month. Well, what do I need to build to do that? Well, I map the whole thing out, which allows me to fill the roles and fill the accomplishments in each of these categories. Well, like this year, I'm about there, and it's not to brag, it's to say that was a vision I had 3 years ago. And every quarter since, I've been building a machine to accomplish that outcome. And now that we've arrived at that base camp, which I like looking at things like base camps, going up a mountain, I will now reimagine the next base camp. And the number is about 10 million in revenue. But I'm not going to go deep into my side of that. But this is how we've done it. This is how we've gotten there. This is how we create targets. This is how we create initiatives. This is how we create accountability to actually follow through this time. Yes, I could absolutely help you figure out specific measurable targets, but I think people doing that without knowing where they are and where they want to go, it becomes another just empty promise to yourself, to your team, to your family of, this is the year we figure it out. We're going to create targets. We're going to have a big vision, but then there's no action to back it up. And this is what I suggest doing. This is what I use. This is how I've seen multiple clients of ours implement this in a way that allows them to take massive action quickly and give them an incredible momentum throughout the year. There's no down quarters or up quarters because we follow this process every quarter and we get a lot done in a manageable but high intensity environment. So that's what I had for today. I want to give time for some questions on that. That was a lot of information very quickly. So I guess if you want to drop it in the chat, if you have any specific questions on that, I don't know how the Q&A typically goes on these, but there's got to be a question on that. Bobby, if you're watching still, I know you got a question on that.
Man, that was awesome, Mike. I mean, definitely, I think everyone probably can see your passion. As I did, coming through. I mean, you definitely are very dialed in. I think that you've got, again, great focus. You know what you want to go do and you go after it. So Bobby there chiming in, SWOT analysis is a game changer. I'm curious. I mean, who else is using a SWOT analysis? Was this the first time you've heard about it, or are you using it with your business? I think it'd be interesting to see.
What do you do, Eric? I mean, you guys have a lot of initiatives. There you go. So, like, what do you do? I mean, obviously, you guys get a lot done. You have a lot of initiatives that you create. Obviously, I know what it looks like to do like app development. I developed my own app this year. But like, what do you do to take progress on like Or do you agree with what I just said? Like, is that something that you see as like a lot of issues with, like, people just don't know what they want and they create all this other stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so what do we do here? I mean, we just finished our kind of 2024 sort of planning where we really, from a financial budgetary standpoint, we plan out kind of where we want, from a revenue standpoint, where we want to go, how many hires we need to bring on, what big initiatives, where we want to kind of, how much are we going to spend in each of the different areas. So I think kind of from a much kind of for the full year plan, we put that together. But, I mean, every single day, when I wake up, when I'm driving in, I'm thinking, what are the top 3 things that I want to accomplish today? I mean, I go with kind of the big rocks thing, like trying to make sure I know exactly what I want to accomplish today, because I get pulled, as I'm sure many of you on here, you get pulled in a million different directions every single day. And so for me, being able to kind of, go back to that is extremely helpful. From a development standpoint, I mean, we have a weekly development meeting. We use kind of the feature request board and things kind of to help sort of prioritize, what is going to make the biggest impact for our customers. But again, I think even kind of outside of JobTread, like I could do a lot better working on focusing on my family, my health. Like there's a few things that have kind of come up that I know, like I need to get in the gym much more than I am. And like, so I've tried to, at least 3 times a week, I'm trying to get to the gym before I come into the office. I usually just hop on the treadmill there, but that's when I'm like, gathering my thoughts. I'm listening to usually podcasts or educational, content, things like that. But, I had never really thought of doing a SWOT analysis for, the family, for the house, for the personal side, the health. Like, I think it's a great idea. I'm going to try it. I mean, no reason not to.
All right, so I got some questions here I want to dump into. So Yost Rodriguez said, any other management tools your company uses to stay on track? So we use Asana as a project management tool. We use Slack as our communication tool because it integrates with Asana really efficiently on like the individual projects. And then recently we implemented a program called Simple KPI. It's an online platform for KPI measurement and dashboards. Like if you're using JobTread, there's a whole lot you can do in there from a KPI measurement perspective. Like simple KPI is like, that's what it is. It's literally just a KPI dashboard that I liked from its user-ability and customization and reporting. So not saying that like JobTread can't do that. I'm not a contractor specifically. So like JobTread does not work in my business the way that it would in many of yours. But I like Asana. We've been using for years, ASANA. We use Slack as our internal communication tool for messaging because it integrates with Asana very effectively. And then from a reporting perspective by department and KPIs, key performance indicators, not judging anybody here, but like, it's amazing me how many people don't know what a KPI is when I say that. But key performance indicators, the measurements we're using to judge success of our company, I really like this simple KPI program that we found recently to just create a one-stop, but very report-driven, dashboard-driven for you customize it to be whatever KPIs you want. So. Let's see, Tom Palavra, Tom Palavra. He one-man show trying to hire somebody. Like what I would do, Tom, is just hire and fire as often as necessary to find the person that fits for you. Like you cannot be a one-man show and think that you're going to be able to accomplish what you need to as a business owner. Right now, and I mean this respectfully, you are just a highly compensated employee of your own company. And that stings maybe somebody that stings some people, but overall is like until you start hiring and firing, you're not going to find the people. There is not a strategy to find the one person. So like win fast, win often is the tagline for our company. But like a lot of our clients, make jokes that fire fast, win often is Mike's mindset. Cause like I am all about hire fast and fire fast where you're at, Tom. Cause you don't have time to do a lot of interviews. You don't have time to like really test a lot. You're a one-man show. So I would start hiring. But I'm not sure exactly what you do, Tom. If you're a remodeler and you're doing everything yourself and you're subbing things out, maybe a project manager is the right hire, not another tradesman, not another tool belt wearing individual. Maybe look at hiring a project manager or an office manager to help with permits and material orders and stuff like that. So like that would be that'd be my opinion. But I don't know exactly what you do, Tom, but I would say that makes sense. Good.
Yeah, I'd add to that because I mean, again, we see this all the time. People kind of wanting to get off the tools, wanting to build the business more, but like they struggle to kind of find that that good kind of balance of running the business, delivering the products. I think at the end of the day, kind of my advice would be, you got to make sure you understand who is going to be focused on the business side and who's going to be focused on, delivering the product, managing, if you're using subcontractors, if you do end up using employees to do the work, like somebody's got to always be focused on that. You can't take your eye off sales and marketing and the business side of things either. So figure out, what do you want to do? What makes you passionate? Go down that path, and then try to find somebody who can complement you and take care of the other side of the house, because you do have to address both sides, and you can't do everything.
No, and because every time you work in one hat, every other hat is put down, and it just kills momentum.
Yeah.
But here's a good question from Amesy. Writing KPIs is our biggest challenge. Any more thoughts on getting started writing KPIs, lists, schedules? Yes. So I want to give you a quick lesson and then a takeaway on this. So there's two types of key performance indicators. There's leading indicators, things that lead to activity, and then there's trailing indicators, things that show how good that activity was. And so I would look at simply starting with what you do currently have access to. How many leads came in? How many contracts were sent? I guess, Amesy, tell me exactly what you do. I might be able to get more specific. I assume remodeling or construction some way. But like leads that came in, so break it out by department. Sorry, back up. Sales, marketing, operation, production, finance. Break it out by department and look at what data you currently have access to. So design, build new homes. Great. So you could do sales, you could do in marketing, you can look at impressions per post, you can look at what is our average cost per client acquisition, cost per lead, cost per client. Like, okay, so we spent $5,000 this month on advertising. We got one new client. That's a $5,000 acquisition cost. Just simple math there. You can look at how many days of project management were spent on average project. I talked about earlier, understanding our capacity. So Amesy, if you are doing design, build new homes, how many hours of project management are spent per project? That'd be a great thing, because you say, okay, how can we get more efficient at this? Right now, we're averaging 500 hours of project management per project. How can we get that down to 450 or 400? And now you can say, okay, this is the KPI. Now, what does performance or improvement look like? You say, hey, team, one of our weaknesses right now, if we look at the SWOT analysis, is we're taking too long to project manage projects. It's killing our production team and it's killing our profitability. We're currently, because we have a KPI on this, we're currently at 500 project management hours per project. Man, that sounds like a lot. What can we do this quarter to get that improved? Hey, I think we should implement JobTread. There you go. I think we should implement JobTread. What does JobTread cost? I don't know. It's affordable. So if we implement that, do we think that'll help us get us from 500 to 450? Yes, we believe we can save 50 hours per project implementing JobTread. Boom, initiative created, and now we can measure the actual implementation of that. So if you know we're currently at 500, 90 days from now, you should be able to look at that 90-day period and say, are we trending in the right direction or not? Or even over a 6-month period, what are we improving on per project? And you say, bam, that one worked. That's awesome. On the financial side, you could have AR, AP, accounts receivable, accounts payable, AR, AP. You could have average gross project margin per project, average net margin per project. You could have your, I like looking at, for specific companies that are in the design build, what is our daily overhead burn rate? Basically take what is your overhead expenses for the month, divide by 22, which is the average working days in a month. That should tell you what your average overhead burn rate is. Like, how much revenue you need to produce or profit you need to produce per day to break even. And so, that's like looking at what is our daily overhead burn rate is something important. And, what are you doing from investing? Who are you hiring? What are you buying? Does it make sense to buy that truck? Well, what's the payment? Well, that's $1,600 a month. Can we afford it? No. Cool. We're not doing it. Like, it's pretty straightforward. When you have the data, it makes the decisions a lot easier. But I would start with the answer. The short answer, Amesy, to your question is look at what you currently are tracking and develop 2 or 3 per category or 2 or 3 per department, and then just start having the practice of tracking it. Then it'll evolve over time. You'll add to it. Someone have an idea as part of a SWOT analysis. Man, it seems like we're taking too long to manage projects. Well, how long does it take? I don't know. It seems like too long. Well, maybe one of our quarterly initiatives should be, let's create a way to track our average project management hours. Great idea. Boom, quarterly initiative created. And so it's just one compounding improvement over the other. It's not like, oh, these are the 10 KPIs every company needs. No, because every business owner makes decisions differently, and what's right for you is not going to be right for somebody else, which is why there's so many features in JobTread, right? Like it needs to be customizable to every individual person. And so that's what I would say. I would say like figure out what you currently have access to, look at it by department, pick the things that you currently are. If you're not spending money on advertising, don't have an average cost per acquisition in there. It doesn't make sense. You're not doing it. But Ames, let me know if that helped you. Let me know if that brought value on that. Cause like this is a very important part of business, and not just understanding where you are, where you want to go is, are the initiatives actually working becomes a huge value in the KPIs.
Yeah, 100%, man. You got to start somewhere too. Like so many people just, they think they don't know where to start, and then they do nothing. Again, start tracking something, even if it has to start off a little bit manual. Like just get in the habit of taking the time to do the reviews, and take that time out of your day once a week, every other week, once a quarter. Like you got to start somewhere. Don't be passive and not do anything, because you're never going to grow that way.
All right. I don't think I missed any questions. All right. Is there any other questions? I got like a couple more minutes. I like answering questions. It's like the most fun I have. I think that shows. Uh, all right. If there's no more questions, I guess we'll be in the marketplace obviously soon. I think our page actually goes live, I think this week.
No, you actually went live this morning. So again, for everyone who wants to, reach out, get connected to Mike, learn more about his companies, you can find them directly in the JobTread marketplace. I think there's
I think I'm the last company because it's WinRate, it's alphabetical. I think I'm the last one. So just go to the end.
No. We did it. We do it in order of getting added. So you're actually at the very top of the list.
There you
go. Top front and center there, WinRate Consulting. So yeah, so there's a little video you can watch, learn more about him. I'd also say if you're not following Mike on, he is all over social media, very, very active. I mean, just you've put out so much amazing content though. I mean, I've learned a tremendous amount just following along. I highly encourage everybody to go follow, give it a listen. He's got podcasts, YouTube. I mean, where would you recommend people find you at though?
I mean, if you're looking for like Mike Claudio content, if you just go to mikeclaudio.com, if you like, obviously the page is with you guys, but mikeclaudio.com is my stuff. Workwithwinrate.com is our like the business site. We do have a special offer just for JobTread customers. So if you're interested in pursuing, maybe getting a coach or bringing some coaching into your ecosystem, we do have a JobTread specific offer. If you guys, schedule a call, we can talk about it. But MikeClaudio.com has like the YouTube channel. Like I have like 600 YouTube videos, like 450 podcast episodes. Like there's a lot of content out there that I've put out for free. So Yos Rodriguez, any podcast, go to the Big Stud podcast, man. I put a lot of work into this, and my content is very contractor focused. Like 90+% of our coaching clients are contractors. And so a vast majority of my content is related to that. But if you guys are interested in just seeing what it looks like to have a coach and want to schedule a call, workwithwinrate.com, go to the JobTread marketplace. The MikeClaudio.com page just has access to the content. But I want to have a conversation with you guys. I want to have my team have a conversation with you. We want to get you help to take the tools that you're investing in right now and get your business, even just define what you want, like I talked about today. But I appreciate it. Eric, I'm super looking forward to JobTread Connect, man. I'm ready. That keynote's ready. We're ready to bring fire to the stage as a keynote for JobTread, and obviously support you guys there in January. And look, man, it's just I love this. I've been doing this full time for 6 years. I have a coaching call literally in 4 minutes. Like this is just what I do. I love it. And I want to bring more value to more people as fast as I can so that people can get the business they want. I don't just want success in one aspect of anybody's life. That's not the whole picture. I want people to be able to define and look, even you said, like, Eric, you're a high performer, man. You know that, right? That's why you've built the things you've built. You're like, I can maybe do a little bit more in the gym or a little bit more on the dock. I can be a little more disciplined over here. That's what I want to bring people. I want to get them a little bit better month over month, year over year, until they become somebody and something, the life that they're just like, I don't want to break from this. I love this life. And like, that's what I did for myself. And like, that's how I help other people accomplish it for themselves.
Yeah.
So.
Look, guys, I mean, I can't express the opportunity that Mike is offering up here to be able to have a free call, get a consultation with these guys. Just, take the time to learn what they can do for you. Again, it's just a great opportunity. We appreciate you, Mike, for being part of the JobTread community, for being willing to, you know, to help our customers and help the, you know, the contractors that are using our software, you know, for offering them up, you know, these discounts, for helping support JobTread Connect, like just for being involved, for being what you do. Cause like you got a great heart, man. And like you wear it on your sleeve. It's so apparent. It's so obvious, you know. So again, I want to encourage everybody, you know, if you took away value from this call, you know, reach out to Mike through the marketplace. That's how he'll know you came from JobTread. And yeah, just see if there's something that, you know, fits and jives with you and your business. And I have no doubt that good things will come.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the opportunity, guys. Appreciate you sticking around for the whole hour and hearing me yell at my screen for a little bit. So, thank you guys. Appreciate it. See everybody soon.
All right. See you guys.